John, I'm Nate.
Nice to meet you.
And we got Will. And these guys are going to give me a quick tour. This is Barrel Warehouse.
That was our
number 65. How many barrel warehouses you guys got? Two. Well, this is cool. So the barrels I got, I noticed they were two different types.
Yeah, so two are predominant cooperages is Barrel Mill. They're out of Avon, Minnesota, and Adirondack Cooperage. They're out of Remsen, New York, just north of Utica. Those are our two primary coopers that we use.
So how many barrels do you have in this warehouse alone?
There's a couple thousand in this warehouse. We actually just filled and hit barrel 5,000.
Wow. Do you name them all?
They're all just numbered. Nothing
There's a
named or
couple
anything
that have
crazy.
special names.
Do you? I figured somebody
There's a couple special.
putting some artwork on there.
Yeah, there's a couple like family casks, significant events that happen in people's lives. We'll lay down a barrel for them.
Gotcha.
Kid or
Gotcha.
that kind of stuff.
So there's two barrels. I noticed they were slightly different manufacturers. One was, is it one a 25 gallon? They both 30s?
All that you're taking is 30 gallons. So we don't really fill 30s anymore. Anything on the 2x4 racks, those are 30 gallon barrels. Now we pretty much exclusively fill 53s. We're old enough company to do that. It just helps with the maturation. They age faster, this surface to liquid ratio. So they'll mature in about 3 to 5 years versus 6 to 10 on the 53s.
For distilleries, it's all about cash flow initially, right? Getting that flavor and
yeah. So
quick
Jason
time.
initially started with 5 gallon and 15 gallon barrels. So they'll mature before they're straight bourbon. So in less than 2 years. So just good cash flow for that aspect of it. Then traditionally go up to 30s and then 53s.
Cool.
But
So nothing's actually distilled here.
no, this is all just cold storage. Our distillery is downtown Rochester.
How far is the drive to the downtown distillery?
It's about 10 minutes away. Has to be within a 10-mile radius of your distillery.
So do you have different racks for those smaller barrels?
Yeah, we use the 2x4 racks for the 30 gallons and all the steel racks for the 53s.
Gotcha. So this is what the barrels I just took are on these racks.
Yep.
Adirondack Cooperage, they used to be cabinet manufacturers and furniture, and then they turned into Cooperage, so their barrels are very distinct. They're furniture grade out the gate.
Have you been there yet? Have you been over there to the
I haven't
Cooperage?
been there personally, no. So small
Now this is slick.
barrel grabber.
Does this save you guys a lot of aggravation, or does it create aggravation?
To be honest with you, we haven't used it yet.
What? How does it work?
So it's kind of like a two-piece system. There's an additional piece that goes on to the cage of the forklift. You drive basically into it. They interlock, and then you can drive into the barrels and pick them up. But it requires another guy to detach them out there and move them like you know.
I've been looking for something like this. 2-part Gravomatic. So John Boy and I just finished picking up barrels at Black Button Distillery in Rochester. What did it smell like?
Like bourbon.
Like bourbon? It smelled pretty good, didn't it?
Yeah.
You can smell it just being in the building. So got 40 barrels, and now we may, if I can convince Jonathan to head to the distillery downtown. This is one of their warehouses, and kind of take a shot of that. I think it'd be neat for you guys to see it. But we're 6 miles away, but we got to feed Jonathan first. So, what are we thinking? Food?
You're up with.
Wendy's it is. How about I get the bacon in here and you get the son of the bacon?
Thank you. Have a good one.
What do you got there?
Drink.
What's your drink?
I don't know. Does it matter?
It definitely matters.
Why does it matter?
But it doesn't matter then.
It doesn't matter.
Didn't you say it was a blueberry pomegranate
Well,
lemonade? Now Wendy's has the best honey mustard. It's not even close. The only reason I go to Wendy's is for the honey mustard. You know, Wendy's, they are an Ohio company. They're in Bexley, it's north of Columbus. And the only thing cooler than honey mustard, maple mustard. Give me a call, Wendy's. Give me a call. So, we're at Rohrbach and Black Button. I know Black Button's building a new location, but they've been sharing a building here for a long time. Yeah, John Boy and I are going to go in, finish taking a little footage, and then we're heading home. John Boy might have to drive. You got a permit. We're good. Pull hard. Cool. Bourbon cream. I hear somebody shaking something.
So this is our 4-grain, which is our flagship bourbon. It's 84 proof. It's 60% corn, 20% wheat, 11% malted barley, 9% rye. It's blended from multiple barrels.
Gotcha.
We have it all the time, okay? This is actually batch 38. Anytime you get it here, any batch you get is going to taste very similar, if not better than the batch before.
Is this like your flagship then?
This is our flagship.
Gotcha.
This is our flagship, have it all the time. This is our cask strength, which is our 4-grain flagship, but it is uncut.
I got you.
So it hasn't been distilled down. This batch is actually batch 8, and it is 116 proof.
So this hasn't been proofed yet?
Hasn't been proofed down.
Okay.
Hasn't been. We have this all the time as well, but depending on the batch, it'll have a different proof.
Okay.
And then generally, probably 1 barrel out of 100 in the barrel warehouse, they say. They're going to go over and they're going to taste the barrels. They're going to say, wow, that barrel tasted great on its own. We're going to bottle it like it is. We're going to call it a single barrel.
Gotcha.
So whenever you get a single barrel, it's always going to have the barrel number on here. So this was barrel 1341. This one is actually 118 proof. They're all going to vary depending on how much of the alcohol the barrel absorbed.
Gotcha.
Okay? And then this one, this is our 1,000th barrel. So they actually bottled this specific, the 1,000th barrel, and they bottled it by itself, so it's marked the 1,000th barrel. There's a number on it, and it's 127 proof.
Cool.
Okay?
What's your name?
Mary. My name
Mary,
is Mary.
I'm Nate.
Nate, nice to meet you.
This is my son Jonathan.
Nice to meet you, Jonathan.
He's getting educated today.
Yeah. Thank you
Very
guys for
cool.
stopping in.
So how long have you been here?
I've been here going on 3 years.
3 years?
Yep.
Do you love what you do?
Love it here, yeah.
I can tell you have a little passion about
This is
it.
actually just a part-time thing for me. I actually have a full-time job. I'm an engineer.
Get out.
But I can
Where
come
at?
in here and help out. I actually work for a small company now, but I've worked for, I actually retired from AT&T and after 39 and a half years. And
Wow.
Started.
Did you start when you were 1?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I did start. I started 2 days after I got out of college. I
Awesome.
graduated from college on a Saturday, and I started at General Motors actually on a Monday. So.
Is that what? So you went to General Motors first.
Well, yeah, and actually, it's an odd story. I stayed with the same. I had the same job, same company, but the companies just changed. So GM bought a company called EDS. I became an EDS employee. EDS was bought by Hewlett-Packard HP. I became an HP employee. HP split off into 2 companies. I became an HPE employee. HP split off, and I became a DXC employee, and then I became an AT&T employee.
Interesting.
So it was always
Telecommunications?
Yep, IT. Yep,
Okay.
network engineering.
Okay,
Yep.
very cool.
Yeah.
I'm a maple farmer.
Yeah, that's awesome. I envy you out
Yeah.
and every day. What are you going to do, Jonathan? Do you like this, or you don't know yet?
I don't know yet.
You don't know yet?
It's interesting.
I want him to chase his own dreams.
Keep your options open.
Chase your own dreams.
So much out there to do.
I don't want him chasing my dreams.
Yeah.
I'm chasing mine,
Yeah.
so
Right.
he needs to chase his own dream.
Yeah. And you'll find it. You'll find
It's true.
it. Great.
Well, this is cool. Well, look who it is.
Made it back.
Will made it. We made it. I understood why it was 22 minutes to go 6 miles now. We went all the way through town.
Yep.
I was like, how could it take 22 minutes to go 6 miles? That's not right. Was it right?
Yep.
So we got a barrel-aged syrup here from Kettle Ridge. And let's see. Kettle Ridge, Victor, New York. Very nice bottle. Looks familiar to me. So, yeah. Right there. It's got the black button logo on it. So, sweet. I've had a few barrel-aged maple syrups in my day.
Yeah. So I've never had anybody really taste it like this. Tell me if that's enough to give.
No one ever tastes it. You know, if you sample it, they buy it.
People usually don't sample it. They usually just buy it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like I said, we've had cocktails in the past where we've we've put the maple in instead of simple syrup in an old
Oh,
fashioned.
heck yeah.
Yeah, put the maple in instead.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna taste a little maple syrup here. It's a lighter grade, like an amber. The syrup's really good. And because I've been just tasting bourbon, I don't know that I could tell.
Cleanse your palate
Okay.
with water first. Let me give you a little more. Okay?
It's a high quality maple syrup. This is high quality maple syrup. Very butterscotchy. That's a cool bottle. You want to, or what is this? A container?
Yeah, dispenser.
Dispenser. Got some recipes.
You good?
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw some posters and stickers
Thank
in for
you.
you as well. Okay?
Hey, you're good for this company.
So remember us. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
John?
Jack, I'm Nate Bissell. My son Jonathan.
Bought those 40 barrels that Alex lined up.
Now remember, if you laugh in slow motion, and I put it to music, you'll look great.
Good belly button.
What is this?
Apple brandy finished bourbon.
Oh my gosh. Look who it is.
Lunchtime.
You guys are back.
Back to work. Back to work.
You got that half-hour commute 6 miles down the road.
Yeah, right.
See? The laugh in slow motion, I got him.
Yeah, this facility is a little more fun because
Jeez, you want him to work the rest of the day? You give him that much, he's not getting anything done.
He's got work to do. Yeah. We got to change the helmet out on the apple brandy finish.
Yeah.
Oh, you already had it this morning.
Beautiful. So do you see these pipes?
yeah.
So around the backside, you see the copper? That's the pot still.
Okay.
These are called columns.
What we make most of the time, day in, day out, is going to be bourbon. This equipment lets us do gin and vodka, and we've done rum, we've done a bunch of things, but bourbon is what we typically make day in, day out. So that's going to be, for us, 60% corn, 20% wheat, 9% rye, and 11% malted barley.
And it's all grains from local, right?
All grains
In the
from-
state of New York, you guys, I mean, it's pretty much, this state was smart in making the, not making, but if you source locally, it helps with tax, or how does it work?
We're a New York State farm distillery. I mean,
Gotcha.
and we're the first distillery in the city of Rochester since Prohibition. So that's
Gotcha.
sort of a point of emphasis to focus on local, all the way from the grains to the glass, right?
Gotcha.
So everything is made in this room, all by us. We're here 5 days a week, and everything is produced by us. It's not sourced. All the bourbon is grown from 2 farms under about an hour's drive away, and made right on this equipment. So with those proportions at 60, 20, 11, 9 bourbon mash, we're going to put all those grains into this big dimple cylinder over here. This
Gotcha.
is our mash tun. We'll add all of our water, all of our grain, and basically the first step is in the brew to cook that grain, to break down the starch in the grain into simple sugars, which the yeast, which we'll pitch at the end of the day, the yeast will convert into alcohol. That's basic fermentation. That's what you have with beer or wine or anything else, is converting sugar into ethanol.
Gotcha.
So we'll, at the end of the day, we'll pump that from mash tun into 2 of the square fermenters in the back, and come back a week later after adding our yeast. And what we've got is something about 12 or 13% alcohol by volume. Basically, it's like if you had a beer, corn muffin mix, and a shot of vodka all together. So you've kind of got this raw.
Did you come up with that? That's pretty good.
On grain.
That's pretty good.
Well, it is essentially what it is.
Yeah.
It starts out, you can taste it. When it goes into the fermenters, it's sweet, and when it's all done a week later, it's very dry and it's gotten more
Gotcha.
acidic as that sugar to alcohol conversion has taken place.
So just so I have it right, this is where you're doing your mashing.
Yep. So this is the mash tun, and then we'll
So
pump out,
mash tun.
and you can get a shot.
You have 2 fermentation or multiple. I see
We
there's a
have,
lot.
8, we have 8 fermenters, so we'll typically
Okay.
brew Monday through Thursday. So 4 brews splitting into 8 fermenters, and then we'll rectify on the front still the bourbon Tuesday through Friday.
Am I right that you call that a beer?
We would just call it a brew or a mash. I like to say that I'm like the Jesse Pinkman of black.
Okay.
Follow the recipe.
I got you.
I personally came from just helping out in the bar, and then eventually worked my way. It's kind of nice to be part of this.
So you have you went from the bar to wow. Do you love it?
I do. I actually left and came back to do this.
This is cool.
With like a really small team. I obviously love the people that I work with. I came back for them, and I came in knowing very little, and I still like to share, like to talk about the whole process because it's interesting, and I didn't know anything about it, and I sort of get to reciprocate the same experience. So
that's awesome.
So after a week, when we have all of our sort of alcohol on all that grain, we pump one of those fermenters into our 750-gallon stripping still back there. And
so that's with the copper on it.
The big one with the copper dome. Basically, the first step is to rip all that alcohol away from the water and the grain that's in the mash. So we do that on the grain, so we still have all the grain husks and everything in there. We can do 2 of those strips in a day, and basically what we've got at the end of the day is 300 gallons of what we call low wines, basically 90 or so proof raw alcohol. You wouldn't want to drink it. It's got all the good and the bad in it. It smells very sulfury. It's got methanol.
So everything, the methanol, ethanol's in the first part.
Ethanol, acetone, sulfur.
So you don't pull the heads out first. You actually take it all out and then strip it again.
On the first strip, we don't make any cuts because that's really what's going to happen on day 2, on our second pass, on the front still here. So that 300 gallons gets loaded into this front still, our rectification still. And now what we're going to do is really clean it up.
It's like a polishing process. You're really it's dialing it in.
More or less, basically, yeah, because we need to cut all that good away from the bad.
So that's what this bad boy is.
So we're separating them by boiling point. I can kind of show you this.
Heck yeah.
At the moment, we are running vodka, so it looks a little bit different, but we're going to ignore this guy and ignore this guy, our vodka column. We're going to heat this up. We use steam to heat everything, no open flames, nothing like that in this place. Heat up the steam jacket on the outside, and we're separating the alcohol by boiling point. So the first thing that evaporates is the methanol, which comes up here, moves over this line arm, and then has to go through this column from the bottom up.
Gotcha.
And in this column, separating each chamber, is a copper bubble plate. Basically,
it helps with the separation, right?
Yeah, the alcohol is going to hit that. It's going to be cold and sort of rain back down, and only the lighter molecules are going to be allowed to pass over. And the first ones are going to be heads, as the name suggests, and the heads are methanol. So out of a 300-gallon run of low wines, we're probably going to get about a gallon or so of almost pure methanol. And we make those cuts.
Jesse Pinkman was always looking for methanol, wasn't he?
Was it methanol?
I think they made up a name.
Nobody would want
methylamine. Yeah, they made up a name.
We definitely don't make.
Yeah.
Methanol you don't want either, because methanol is the stuff that makes you go blind.
Right.
So we collect them in those mason jars over there. Basically, what we're going to do is make a series of cuts, or make one long cut with a series of mason jars, and so after about a dozen or so of those, we'll start to taste the change, the crossover from methanol into the ethanol, into the Hart's cut. The ethanol is what we want, that's what we enjoy. And basically that lets us taste through retroactively and decide where it's really, the methanol's been exhausted, and we get to collect all the ethanol at this point. Once that happens and we start tasting ethanol, we're going to move, we're going to bypass this column, and then we're going to go straight from pot to condenser.
Which one's your condenser?
The condenser is the solid one at the end.
Oh, right, where everything's coming off the product.
There's cold glycol rods coming inside of there, and basically when the alcohol vapor hits it, it condenses.
Is your glycol coming in on that blue line?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what's cooling everything.
That's what's cooling everything. The stripping still, we can use city water. It's very consistent for us, but the glycol is really the front system, given the volatility of the alcohol that's in there, it's the most dangerous thing. And so we want to make sure that we can get it as cold as possible, as fast as possible. And yes, it's condensing into a liquid, and out of a 300-gallon charge, we're probably going to get about 150 gallons of Hart's.
Gotcha.
And so that'll half fill one of these tanks. We'll do 2 days to fill one of these tanks. with something that is about 155 proof. That's our high wines, White Dog, the moonshine, basically what's going to become the bourbon.
Very cool.
It's clear and it's got a lot of flavor to it, but it still needs to go into a barrel.
Now, is there a barrel warehouse here?
We're in 4 locations right now.
Wow.
2 that have barrels in them.
Do you fill barrels here or at the barrel warehouses?
We fill them at the warehouse just as a matter of convenience.
Oh yeah, plus moving these around are a lot easier than barrels.
Yeah, I mean we've also really outgrown our shell here, and one more project is not usually something that we need to do.
You know, the aftertaste of this stuff is amazing.
It's still there.
I could still, yeah, that was it apple brandy?
Apple brandy finish. Yeah.
Man.
So it's sat, how long is it sitting there, Jeff?
Apple brandy?
Yeah.
Year and a half.
Jeff, the aftertaste is amazing. It is.
Yeah, so from here we'll take this, proof it down to about 115 proof, and then it'll go in a barrel and sit there for
Gotcha. So you'll actually
8 or so
move
years.
this into here?
When we make a cut, yeah. I mean, right now we're trying to make vodka, which needs to come off distillate over.
How many times do you distill your vodka?
Well, it's more a matter of how many of these bubble plates it's going
Columns,
through.
yeah.
So it's going to go through 20 of them. It's going to
Gotcha.
go through these 4 and then these, and the reason
Holy
for that
smokes.
is because
Purity, right? It keeps.
the vodka. Yeah, it's really hard to get the alcohol the vodka has to come off the still at over 190 proof. In order to achieve that, you need to have put a lot of energy into it. Work the molecules really hard. You need a lot more of these bubble plates to force all the heavier molecules down to only let the ethanol come over. And so that's the only way to do it. So there's 20 of these bubble plates, 20 of these chambers, where it can create reflux and
Gotcha.
and sort of work that molecule all the way up to the top and eventually come over. The reason it's not being collected in the tank right now is because we're perpetually testing it all day, and it's quite at 190, it's about 189. As soon as we can get it to become 190 and it's actually technically, legally, officially vodka, then we can drop it using this lever. We'll just set it down and it'll drain
Right in.
back to the tank.
That's cool. That's smart.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, we can still continue to release this and make sure nothing's out of whack, but just judging by the thermometer in there, it's not quite at the proof that it needs to be. So we just need to keep playing with the heating and the cooling until we can get it to come over. It's really inefficient to make vodka. Just at a certain point, it starts to actually suck the moisture out of the air.
I got
so,
you.
Like, temperature changes and pressure changes in here. And Rochester.
So vodka it has to be distilled to 190, but then it's cut again with water.
We cut everything with reverse osmosis water, the bourbon included. We keep this in this green tank here.
Nice.
That just ensures that there's no minerality being added to it at all. And especially with vodka, you're tasting it as sort of clear and pure as can be.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we'll proof down very slowly and get it down to 80 proof for our corn vodka. The fate of this vodka could be vodka in its final form, or it could become gin. Right now we're in the process of making a lilac gin that comes out in May. So we'll be taking this vodka, proofing it down, adding all of our botanicals, particularly lavender, lilac, hibiscus, and rose. And
Do you like gin?
I loved it.
Really?
Yeah, and we like making gin too because you have so much freedom to experiment. As long as you have juniper, you can sort of add whatever you want. So we do a lot of that sort of stuff on the little R&D still, we call it, the 50-gallon still over here, because it lets us do things on a sort of smaller scale.
Last time I had gin, I don't remember much of the night,
Yeah, that can happen.
and I somehow took a shower with my clothes on.
It sounds like a party.
Yeah, I remember waking up and all my clothes were wet. And then I had to do the walk of shame to my truck. This was at a corporate event. Never had gin again. Did you ever hear that story, John Boy?
No,
I think it's pretty funny, don't you? Yeah. Your mom didn't. All right, Jack. What does Black Button mean?
Black Button Distilling gets its name, it's sort of a family joke. We were founded by Jason Barrett. He founded Black Button when he was 24 years old. His family has actually owned, run a button factory for several generations, and you can imagine when he was a little kid, he wanted to help out in his grandfather's factory, so they would give him little odd jobs. What do you give a 6-year-old to do? Sort the buttons was one thing. Put the black ones over here, put the blue ones over here, and the red. And they found out he actually wasn't very good at this because Jason is colorblind. So when he grew up and figured out he wanted to make booze, not buttons, what better way to pay homage to sort of his family and where he comes from than naming it Black Button. And that's why
That makes
we read
sense.
the name.
You can see black ones though, right?
He can pick those out now.
That's good. Well, thanks, Jack.
You got it.
Thanks. Ready, dude?
Yeah.
Don't smoke here. You driving home?
No. No way. I might. No.
You could drive this truck. It's not hard. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next episode. John Boy's driving, so I can go to sleep as soon as he learns how to unlock the door. So John Boy and I just finished picking up barrels at Black Bucket. So John Boy and I just you fix that in editing, Jonathan.